My name is Carrie Hughes, and I'm the Arizona Humane Society's annual giving officer, and I'm so excited for today to welcome you. And one of the main reasons that AHS is able to operate our life-saving programs and services is because of the unwavering support that we receive from our donors. From those of you that make monthly gifts and are part of our Constant Companion program, to our annual members of the President's Club. And we have those of you that have left a one-time estate gift called our Legacy Circle, and everything in between. Our supporters are truly the lifeline of AHS. And this COVID pandemic, gosh, it's been almost 6 months to the day since we've been sent home, and things transitioned so rapidly, but it truly sent our whole world into chaos and confusion. And Dr. Hansen, your leadership, combined with the amazing support and generosity of our donors and local animal welfare advocates, allowed us to continue to serve the most vulnerable animals during our most vulnerable times. And we were able to continue to provide the essential services to those pets and people who needed us most. It was amazing that we were able to do so. And truly in this time, AHS's core values shined brightly, and that's innovation, compassion, and excellence. And AHS did what we do best, and that's transform. And I'm so excited for you to share today what we call our COVID keepers. Before we get turned over to you, sir, I also wanted to congratulate you on a very special couple of awards that we won in Phoenix Magazine Best of the Valley 2020. And we were nominated as Best Nonprofit and Best Place to Volunteer, which are two really tremendous awards considering all of the fantastic work that goes on in our community. And for those of you that have just joined us, welcome today. There is a Q&A box at the top of your screen and the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to submit questions. We'll take a couple pauses during the presentation to get those questions answered. So Dr. Hansen, I think everyone is familiar with you. If you want to introduce yourself just a bit, that's fine. But our president and CEO, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm really excited to be here. Let me go ahead and cue us up from the beginning. I'm thrilled to be here, and I want to welcome everybody to our webinar today. As Carrie said, type in questions if you've got questions, and she'll help us coordinate those as well. So I think we'll have a really good session this morning. Our topic is focusing on what we call innovative COVID keepers at the Arizona Humane Society, or how we changed as a shelter and animal welfare changed overnight. Let me do one more quick thing before we get started here. There we go. Okay, we're good to go. So our overview, first I'll define what a COVID keeper is. We'll talk a little bit about the history of the Arizona Humane Society, talk about our current status, our response plan, what we've done to take care of our team, most importantly, what our program and service innovations have been. Unlike many shelters and many nonprofits, we did not shut down. In fact, we ramped up our services for sick and injured and abused animals in the valley. We'll talk about that as we stayed true to our mission. We're going to talk about also preparing for the next crisis, what's actually on the horizon. We'll touch on our new central campus at Papago Park, and then just a quick overview summary and another option for questions. So what's a COVID keeper? So a COVID keeper is one of the transformational change items that the Arizona Humane Society put into place in the last 6 months that we actually see carrying forward. COVID is an awful pandemic, but we have been finding opportunities to improve and to learn from this experience. So just briefly, the history of the Arizona Humane Society, as you all probably know, our society was founded in 1957, which you may not know is in the upper left here. Our first hospital opened in 1970, so 30 years ago. Actually, the ribbon cutting will be next year at 31. We broke ground 30 years ago. I actually spoke to the son whose father was the construction engineer for the old portion of Sunny Slope, which opened in the 70s. And of course, our South Mountain campus is our newest campus. So historically, we set out in 2014 to change the face of animal welfare, especially at the Arizona Humane Society. Since that time, we've introduced many programs. Our ethical no-kill philosophy ensures that we never euthanize for length of time, for space, or anything that we can treat in our hospital system. That's resulted in a reduction of euthanasia of 81% and intake of 47%. So a drastic change, and it's all driven by what we call our ethical no-kill philosophy. And then what happened? COVID hits in March. So I'm going to talk about what changes did we implement, what we see as working, and what changes are here to stay. Those are our COVID keepers. So this is a quick overview, and I'm going to spend some time on each one of these, but I thought I would give you the list to prepare you for what we're going to talk about. I consider we began execution of our plan back on March 13th, more than 6 months ago. It includes cleaning, PPP, and other safety features, A/B teams, which I'll talk about. We moved everyone to home offices except for direct care people. It meant all the support staff. We hired a social worker, a human social worker. We paused all on-site volunteers. We increased our virtual private network capacity overnight very quickly. We closed 3 of our 4 adoptions locations and consolidated all adoptions at our 4th location, and I'll talk a lot about that. We launched virtual adoption matchmaking. We launched curbside foster services. We implemented telemedicine. We expanded our trauma hospital to 24/7. We transitioned our public hospital at our South Mountain Pulliam campus to 7-day urgent care, and we paused spay-neuter in response to the governor's request to preserve PPE. We closed 2 thrift stores, but we expanded our online sales. So our focus was mission, safety, and staff retention. We did not lay off staff. So let's talk where we are actually year to date. Here you'll actually see what our admissions lobby now looks like. We've got plexiglass up, and we've had plexiglass for several months, and staff members obviously wearing face masks. Second Chance Animal Trauma Hospital, the same. Our current intake is about 82% year to date compared to last year, and the hospital is running at around 90% capacity. The difference is really we've been working from our Pet Resource Center to try and help people place healthy animals that they wanted to relinquish directly, and that's helped us keep our focus on sick and injured. So taking care of our team, this is a very important part of our initial rollout. As I mentioned, we did move people to remote offices immediately. This worked out quite well. A major transition occurred in our Pet Resource Center, and here you see Kate with her dog. She oversees admissions and our Pet Resource Center, working from her home office. That includes a team of 9 employees. More than half of them are bilingual, and they field up to 225 calls a day, or between 60 and 70,000 calls a year. It was a big deal for us to transfer all of that IT infrastructure to home offices, and it has worked exceedingly well for us. So obviously one of our first COVID keepers is the video chat system like you see here. Many of you have gotten used to a lot of different platforms, as have we. And we do see this continuing on some level. I look forward to the time when we can mix in some of these meetings, Carrie, and have some of our wonderful donors face-to-face. But in the interim, these types of meetings are working exceptionally well, and we do see this continuing as an option. We do see home officing continued. It'll probably be a mix of in-shelter and home officing. It reduces pressure on shelter office space. It's good for the environment, less people on the road, and it's great for morale. But we do need a bit of a mix. Those that have been working completely from home for the last 6 months are eager to spend some time back in the shelter as well. So our A/B teams, we immediately divided into 2 teams. We did that because we wanted to be able to manage exposure to COVID within our teams. By keeping them completely separated, it reduced the risk of large numbers of people getting sick. It also expanded the spaces that we were using by our extended hours and allowed more social distancing. We did limit staff to one location, so we did not allow people to move between our different shelter facilities because that also thereby reduces the opportunity to transmit the virus. And we launched what we called our manager on duty model. This is a great opportunity for some of our supervisors and managers to actually be essentially in charge of the campus when they were on site, and to continue to work with the executive team members who were rotating on a daily basis on site. So this worked out very well for us. This is a slide that shows one of our teams, the A team greeting the B team back to the facility because they weren't seeing each other. They were clearing the building and the next team was coming in. So there was time to clean, and then there was no potential for cross-contamination. So this worked out very well. We have recently shifted away from the AB teams as we have expanded back to public spay and neuter and some of the other areas that we required more time. So we are using it in some areas and less so in others at this point, but it served us very well through most of the pandemic. Of course, a focus on health for our staff has been very important, and we do take temperature checks when staff come in every day. We have screening questions. Of course, we require masks. We required masks well before it was mandated in Arizona. Social distancing, physical barriers, and sanitation. And we, of course, provide a lot of reminders and education to staff. And our social worker does provide support to our staff as well, which is delightful. Staff communication, we learned a lot in our staff communication efforts during this crisis. So our executive team met for several months every morning on Zoom. We still do every other morning now. We have what we call our executive team huddle, and then we disperse, going to different locations or our home office, depending on what we're doing that day. We had daily leadership team updates, which have moved to 2 to 3 times a week now. Regular emails from me, weekly leadership hot sheet, which is a short list of what our managers need to know that has changed. Of course, we've got signage all over the facility, and we have the ability to text all staff as well. So what we learned is a multi-channel communication strategy really does work, and this is one of our COVID keepers as well. This is actually an image of one of our communication tools. This is Dr. Thompson. She's our Vice President of Medical Operations. She's our lead veterinarian. She produced some videos early on showing how to properly apply, and particularly important, how to remove PPP equipment after you're done using the equipment, because you must assume that it's been contaminated. So we we increased the amount of training that we have online to a very robust level. Most of our staff have already completed, they're required to do it by the 1st of November to complete fear-free training. This is a 6-hour course that helps staff at all levels and all jobs learn the latest on animal handling to reduce the fear that animals experience when they come into the shelter. It's not a place that they want to come, so we want to make them as comfortable and happy as possible. So we did make adjustments to our wonderful volunteers, and those of you that are volunteers, thank you for your volunteering. We did put our volunteer program on pause for the last several months. We have reinstated volunteer help in some areas. We have somewhere between 120 and 150 of our most highly trained volunteers working in the shelter again. Those are in the bottle baby nursery, in the spay and neuter clinic, and other areas. Typically, we have 1,700 volunteers that put in over 400,000 hours a year. So thank you, volunteer, to our amazing volunteer force, and we hope to have you all back in full in the ensuing months. So we adjusted a lot of our programs and services. As I said, we did not shut down, but we did make some very crucial adjustments that proved to be outstanding decisions. So from the adoptions perspective, we shifted from a walk-in open adoptions program to our virtual adoption matchmaker program. Our teams, again, were split into two, working on-site. The other portion of the teams were working at home as virtual matchmakers. We still do have this in place. It's an online scheduling of appointments. We have appointments at multiple locations at South Mountain. We're actually averaging now about 7 appointments an hour, which is pretty phenomenal. The result is that we have been able to place 80% of our normal capacity at one single location instead of 4. And our adoption return rate is down to 3%. We always encourage you as adopters to try it, to see how our pet works in your home. And we always encourage you to bring the pet back because we know we can find a home if for some reason it doesn't work. For example, at my house, I have interesting dynamics between all of our dogs, and sometimes it may not work. So what I want to do is show you a video. This is how the virtual adoption matchmaker program works.
Thank you for your interest in adopting a pet. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have successfully transitioned to a virtual adoption matchmaker program to continue to help pets find loving homes. We are so grateful that the community's response has been so overwhelmingly positive. In this short video, we break down what you can expect by taking part in our virtual adoption matchmaker program. Step 1. First, view our adoptable pets at azhumane.org/adopt. Step 2. Click on the link to schedule your adoptions appointment to meet up to 2 of our pets. We offer limited appointments for minimum staffing and maximum distancing.
Hi, this is Taylor from the Arizona Humane Society. How are you today?
Our Adoptions by Appointment has 3 adoption specialists daily for minimal staffing, 1 appointment per staff member per hour for maximum distancing, heightened cleaning protocols in between each appointment, and staff members in masks and proper personal protective equipment. Please note that adoptions appointments fill up fast, but new pets are joining our adoption floors each day.
I see an appointment scheduled with us tomorrow at 3:30 to meet with Sia. Is that correct?
Step 3. An adoption specialist will contact you regarding what to expect at your appointment. Please note that we will not be able to put a hold on any pets, but rest assured that every day more pets are waiting to meet you. Step 4. When you arrive, you will be greeted by a staff member in a fashionable mask with a keen awareness of social distancing. Step 5. You will be escorted to a sectioned off, sanitized meet and greet area, and then the fun really begins. Step 6. In less than an hour, you will be heading out the door with your new best friend. Make sure to visit azhumane.org for more info.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. Our Adoptions by Appointment virtual program is working exceptionally well. And as I mentioned, our returns are very low. What is also occurring as a result is our length of stay is very short. So currently, we're seeing length of stays that are down by at least 20%. Animals are moving out very, very quickly. And this makes it very healthy for the pets, and it makes it a wonderful experience for our staff members to be placing them. And as you can see, this is a snapshot of our website. You can go to our website and see what we have available at any given moment. But numbers are small compared to what we used to have at any given time. And it is because of the rapid rate of adoption and the slow length and the short length of stay, which we couldn't be more thrilled about. So we're very grateful to the community for adopting as well as fostering. It's working out really well. So COVID Keeper, we do see long-term centralized adoptions, continuing our virtual matchmaking. And we do anticipate a mix of in-person and virtual when we are able and ready to do that. We will continue our adoptions consolidated at South Mountain. We will open our Scottsdale location at Camelback and Miller sometime in the future when we have need to do so and we feel like it's safe. What we will not do, though, is open our adoptions at Sunny Slope. Sunny Slope will continue to focus just on sick and injured animals. This has a major upside in that there's less transport between locations if we have our adoptions really focused at our South Mountain Nina Mason Pulliam campus for compassion, and when we reopen at our Scottsdale Everyday Adoption Center. So again, Sunny Slope will not restart with adoptions, but will continue to support sick and injured, allowing us to manage the sick and injured animals so much more efficiently. So this is actually a very good outcome and a COVID keeper for us. So how are we actually accomplishing this? How are we reallocating our space? This is a cat adoption area at South Mountain, and it will expand. This is another holding area for cats at South Mountain that used to actually be one of our nurseries that we moved to Sunny Slope so they were closer to the hospital. So again, this is a further progression of our moving the animals to the location that makes the most sense, where they are the most comfortable, they have the least transport and least stress, and we'll be able to make it work much more efficiently. This is the Sunny Slope location that used to be adoptions, that is currently now hospital holding for cats. So we're able to expand the amount of space at this location. I'm at Sunny Slope today to actually handle cats. So it's working out very nicely. Sunny Slope right now is the medical campus. South Mountain is supporting adoptions, and eventually Scottsdale PetSmart will hold adoptions as well. So other areas that have been changed at Sunny Slope is this used to be the adoptions checkout area. This now has been transformed into another exam room for foster. And I mentioned foster a little bit, and I want to spend another minute on foster here. Again, we also split the foster team with some members on site and more members working from home offices. Our goal was to get 75% of fosters placed within 7 days, and we're at 99.7. The reality is that our fosters are placed within a day or two generally. You can again go to our website, you can take our foster training, and don't be disheartened when you see few animals available, because we put animals up on a regular basis. The community is just doing an outstanding job taking those pets in and giving them loving foster homes, so we appreciate that. We've been using curbside. That works well. You'll notice at both locations we have got a large tent in which you can drive up under the tent in your car, so you can be shielded from the brutal summer sun. And our staff will come out. We'll take the pet from you. If you're returning a foster, we will bring a foster to you. It's working quite well. We've also implemented telemedicine appointments for fosters. So if you're scheduled for an appointment with your foster and it's one that we can manage over the phone, we can do that, and that will save you a trip in. So all of these key pieces have been working very well. We will continue telemedicine for foster appointments, and many of you may be actually using telemedicine for your own care. It is a great way to communicate with veterinarians and physicians in a video chat or telephone type of a setting. It's safe, it's convenient, it works quite nicely. We will continue this as an option for foster appointments. Now, our public veterinary clinic at South Mountain, which is our full service veterinary clinic, we transitioned that to a 7-day urgent care clinic during most of the pandemic. This has worked quite well. Again, I mentioned we have a tent outside for curbside pickup and drop off. We've been able to support families impacted by COVID. We had discontinued spay and neuter, not discontinued, we paused spay and neuter at that location when we were conserving PPE. Spay and neuter has continued, has reopened. We have consolidated spay and neuter for the public into one location at our Sunny Slope location. Our public clinic at South Mountain will reopen again as a 7-day urgent care clinic very soon. So this has been a great resource for the community. We do see that urgent care model of 7 days per week provided at our South Mountain Public Veterinary Clinic as a COVID keeper. That will continue long term. It's actually something we wanted to test, and the timing was perfect during COVID. The community needs this type of support, and I apologize if you call and try and get an appointment. We are incredibly busy at that hospital. There is quite a bit of need out there. And our admissions office, so this is our admissions team. You can see we don't have anybody waiting inside the building. Again, we're using the covered parking area from our large circus type tents in the parking lot. The team is greeting people here. Of course, everybody's in masks. socially distanced, and it's continuing to work quite nicely for us. Public pet training is another area that we expanded during this pandemic crisis. We did offer it before, but we have been able to expand this offering, and it's working remarkably well. So you can basically sign up and receive a one-on-one single or multiple opportunities for training with our pet training team using Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, whatever works for you. It's working quite nicely. We will be reopening public pet training in small groups soon, and we hope to be able to have regular pet training back in the ensuing months. Our education and outreach team shifted from in-person camps, so you can see one of our camps here. Last year, we had almost 17,000 young people that participated in our camps. And of course, we did put the in-person camps on pause, and we shifted to virtual programming. So I want to show you a video about our virtual programming.
The Arizona Humane Society is excited to announce our new Animal Adventures at Home kit. Each week, we have a surprise box for your child to open and explore the world of animals through hands-on crafts, activities, learning opportunities, and links for online videos, virtual classrooms, and animal meet and greets. All this for just $25 per week, and your purchase will also help us continue our life-saving work. Sign up today at azhumane.org/at-home-kit.
As you can see, our teams have been very innovative. I'm very proud of what this team put together. And we've got a lot of families that have got kids that are taking their classes remotely. And this is a way to also enjoy some remote education in a very fun way that involves animals. So of course, our main focus has always been, continues to be, our dedication to our sick, injured, and abused pets. It is what the Arizona Humane Society is at our very core. Our Second Chance Animal Trauma Hospital transitioned to a 24/7 hospital, again, with split A and B teams. The average length of stay for a pet in our hospital was reduced from 8 to 7 days. By going to 24 hours, we were able to spread the work out throughout the day and reduce the number of staff, the density of staff in the facility at any given time. Here you see an image of a cat. We see all too many of these types of cases when we actually have a cat or a dog, and one of our dogs is actually one of these types of cases. They come in as an awful pile of matted fur and feces and urine. They smell awful. They hold their heads down. It's just awful. This is what you can see the aftermath is, the pile of fur, and a much happier cat. So this is just one of the transformations that our amazing grooming team does to get these guys in a much better, much happier, much healthier state. So animal rescue services during the pandemic continued. Of course, we never slowed. This bottom picture is one of the fires that we were at early in the season. So our team continues to be out there. We quickly developed a plan to quarantine rescued pets, and we have quarantined pets at our South Mountain location from households with known COVID positive humans until we actually quarantine them for 14 days or until the person returned from the hospital to be able to take their pets back. This is an image of Ruthie Jesus. She's our field operations supervisor as she rescued 2 dogs from a COVID positive home. You can see we got a little bit creative with our PPE here. She's got duct taping around the wrist to keep the transition from gloves to suit completely secure. So these teams are out there. They're getting involved in some very sad cases and rescuing animals and supporting the community. And again, we are the state's responder for natural disasters. As I mentioned, the one image was us at a fire earlier this year. We're certainly in need of more rain here in the valley, and we really feel for our colleagues further on the West Coast that are experiencing some enormous fire challenges right now. This is one of our units that we do deploy during disasters, which typically are related to fires. So a COVID keeper for us is our 24/7 trauma hospital. We have shifted back to the hospital essentially runs until 10. We have animal care there much later. But as soon as we are in our new campus, we will actually go back to 24/7. This campus just isn't a great place to run a 24-hour hospital. Many of you have visited here and you do know what I'm referring to, but we were able to test 24/7 during most of this COVID pandemic, and it's worked out very well for us. So I want to play you another video here about a kitten that won over our hearts in the bottle baby nursery during this pandemic. Our bottle baby nursery has remained open 24/7 as always during this crisis. We have been staffed full-time by our full-time staff instead of volunteers. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got some volunteers who are back in the bottle baby nursery, and we so appreciate that. It's such an important part of what we do. Parvo Ward has remained active as well. And we developed a very detailed COVID-19 reentry plan. And that reentry plan involved the reopening of our 2 thrift stores in a safe distance and metered manner of people coming through, as well as the slow return of our volunteers. We had anticipated that this would happen a lot sooner than it did. So we're still between 2 and 3. So we do not have everybody back in, and we are not yet at a point where we allow 10 people or more. We're not doing tours of the facility. And we are doing virtual tours and hope to be able to do small tours soon. For us, we're monitoring very closely what's happening in Arizona and the world, and we'll make adjustments appropriately to make sure that everybody is safe, and most importantly, that the valley's most vulnerable, sick and injured animals are treated. So, thought I would stop there, Carrie, and see if we have any questions on COVID keepers before we talk about what's next.
Perfect. Thank you. We sure do. One of the questions that we have is with the lower quantity of adoptable animals that are available on the website, what are we doing to get more animals to the website that are available for people to adopt?
So that's a good question, Carrie. So what we are doing is part of what we call our reach out program. And that is where we do send our team to small shelters around the state that are over capacity. That also includes some of our partners on native lands. And we will continue to ramp up that program again, which we had been running in the past. We had put it on hold during the early parts of COVID. So we will have more animals that we can rescue and help out other shelters and other areas of the community.
That's wonderful. One of our questions is about our adoptions follow-up. The question is, do you have aftercare programs for abused or behaviorally challenged animals? A friend of mine adopted a cat 3 years ago, and the pet hid under the bed for 3 years only to come out as necessary. And I know we do see, quite a few animals that come from challenging situations before they arrive at AHS stores.
Yes, we do. So we actually have one of our behavior team who is totally focused on following up on adoptions, which is helping nicely because she can provide coaching and information on how to manage some of those fearful animals. Two of our dogs fit into that category of being highly fearful initially. Cats can be a bit more of a challenge, and sometimes it takes a long time for cats to come out of their shell. But we do have follow-up that happens. We follow up with all adoptions now by email and offer phone contact for those that need phone consultations. And of course, we do have our virtual training as an option now as well. We do want to provide as many resources as we can to help these lovely pets come out of their shells.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned earlier in the presentation that we were seeing a lower return rate for animals that are getting adopted out. What do you attribute the reason for that being?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So normal return rates in shelters are somewhere between 10 and 13%, which generally is where we have been for the past few years. And even though that may seem rather high, it's not a number that we were concerned about because we do have an open adoptions process, and we do want people to be willing to try and to know that if this new pet doesn't mesh with your other pets, that we're happy to go ahead and put that pet in another loving home. So what's happening is our virtual adoption process is allowing some detailed conversations between our staff members and the potential adopters before they come into the facility. So what we're also finding is a very high percentage of people that actually come in for their appointment. So they've already gone through the process of talking to our virtual matchmaker. A very high percentage of those people do follow through with their appointment and do adopt. So they've learned a lot. They've had time to think about their adoption, and they're keeping that pet in their home. So our return rate now is around 3%, which is remarkably low because as I said, sometimes things don't work out and we're okay with that. We would much rather that somebody give it a try, and we'll do everything we can to help it work. But if it doesn't work, we would rather take that pet back and place it.
Okay. In reference to our South Mountain Public Veterinary Clinic, can you just go over again, is this a low-cost clinic for the public, and are they doing spay-neuter procedures at South Mountain currently?
So we are not doing spay-neuter at South Mountain currently. We did in the past. What we have done is we have consolidated all of our public spay and neuter activities to the Sunny Slope location here. That allows us to be much more efficient. We have adequate space in the hospital here. We've got 2 ORs, so we can manage the higher volume at one location in a much more efficient manner. So all public spay and neuter is now happening here at Sunny Slope. And yes, our clinic at South Mountain is meant to be a reasonably priced veterinary hospital, but we do have grants that can support families that can demonstrate dire need during this COVID crisis. So it's a moderately priced hospital with support from some wonderful donors for those cases where finances are a real problem. And again, I apologize if you try and get an appointment and can't get one. We will try and continue to grow the capacity of that hospital because the demand is incredibly high right now.
It's a wonderful program. It's definitely helping keep pets in homes as opposed to people having to surrender because they can't find that medical care that they so desperately need. So thank you, sir, for that COVID keeper. We'll definitely cheers to that. I think that's all the questions for this moment. If you do have questions, there's plenty of time to still submit them, and we'll just go on to the next part of the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Carrie. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about what's next and to give you a flavor for how the Arizona Humane Society is preparing for the future, or what we consider the impending monsoon. And this is the real possibility of a housing eviction crisis resulting in a pet relinquishment challenge. So what this means is we have established a working group within our alliance. Our Alliance of Companion Animals is the 7th largest organizations here in the Valley, and we have established a team that is looking into this in great detail. We've already spent considerable time looking at the data, and here you can see one of the charts that we have assembled, and it shows the range between what is predicted to be somewhere between a 22 and 39% eviction rate, and the impact that that can have on animals. So how are we possibly going to help if, in fact, we have a lot of families in the Valley that find themselves in a very tough situation once the eviction moratorium is lifted, and currently the CDC has placed a hold on eviction until the first of the year. What will actually happen? So we believe that there could be as many as somewhere between 1,000 and 8,000 animals a month that need temporary housing. So you may see us in the future talking about home-to-home foster placement. So instead of fosters being used just to house animals that need to be placed eventually in adoptions, to also helping families in need by essentially boarding or holding their pet until they get resettled into a new location. So the Valley's animal welfare experts are busy working on this. Luckily, we've got a little bit of time. If this occurs, it's going to occur after the first of the year, and we will be ready for it. So if it hits, you will see our team most likely on the news talking about the need to place some of these pets into homes. We learned a lot in 2008 during that housing crisis, and there were significant numbers of animals that were actually relinquished during that time. Over 1/3 of the animals that we took in that time were actually relinquished because of people that had lost their homes. So what I thought I'd also touch on is our project to transform animal welfare completely in the Valley, and that's our replacement for Sunny Slope, the campus that I'm currently at today. This is the future of animal welfare as we believe it. This is a rendering of the campus that we plan to break ground on next fall. This is a campaign that has been building and been in place now for some time. This will be a state-of-the-art medical center that will be able to handle significantly more animals from across the state than we currently save, along with a state-of-the-art adoption center. This actually shows a view of the indoor-outdoor cat areas. So cats will actually be able to get exposed to some fresh air. So the campus at South Mountain was constructed in 1957, and those of you that see it are not surprised that it is terribly inadequate and it is failing before our eyes. So we are busy in the process of replacing this campus. It will actually be located in a fabulous location. This is, to get you situated, right here is the ASU baseball stadium, close to Tempe. So we're at Phoenix, Tempe, and Scottsdale intersection. We're close to the zoo. We're close to the Desert Botanical Garden. This is the 202, and we're actually at East Van Buren and 56th Street. Very nice location. We have got 5 acres here. And again, our plan is to break ground, and we believe we will be on schedule to break ground sometime later next year, which is pretty exciting. You might be curious what's going to happen at our Sunny Slope location as this campaign comes to fruition and we reopen. Here at Sunny Slope, we will continue with our public clinic, so our spay and neuter clinic will remain here so that we can serve this community. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that we will continue to serve the community in this area because it is very, very important. This building is going to be a 70,000 square foot building. Our capital campaign is a $28 million campaign. And of that campaign, we've raised 14, so we're halfway there. So it's a very exciting opportunity that this valley desperately needs to greatly increase the ability for us to treat the sick and injured animals and to save many more animals in the valley. So it will be a trendsetter in the country. So just to recap what has actually changed, I mean, our shelter and other shelters, and we believe these are things that will change forever. The video chat and remote officing, multi-channel communications, enhanced personal safety precautions. Many of these are here to stay. Our embedded social worker, which I actually didn't spend much time on, our embedded social worker actually helps on both ends of the leash. So this person, her name is Jenna, can actually help when somebody needs care for their pet, if they need resources, if they need veterinary care, if they need food, or she can also help direct to human health services for the family that may need help as well. She's been a key part to our ability to navigate through this COVID crisis. We do believe that we will continue with mixes of curbside and in-building services, centralized adoptions, as we've been talking about, occurring at South Mountain, and in the future, again, when we reopen our Scottsdale PetSmart location at Camelback and Miller. We do believe that high volume foster and home-to-home placements will continue. Today, we have roughly 500 animals in foster and probably about 450 animals under roof. We do believe that telemedicine for foster and hopefully for other appointments as well, as we get hopefully some relaxation of some of the requirements to have in-person appointments for general veterinary medicine. For telemedicine for foster, though, that works well right now. We do believe that the public urgent care model is an important and needed asset for the Valley. And again, that will reopen as 7 days within the next few weeks at South Mountain. And the 24/7 trauma hospital, which we tested through most of this COVID crisis, will be able to run 24/7 all the time at the new campus. And of course, a mix of virtual and in-person donor engagement opportunities like we're doing today. I enjoy doing these, and I really appreciate everybody that's logged in today to be part of our discussion. So let me go ahead and bounce back to you, Carrie, to see if we have any other questions.
At this point, sir, we don't. It's been a pleasure. If you want to flip to the next slide, I just want to throw my contact information out. If anyone has any questions at all about today's presentation, we would love the opportunity to engage with you and answer anything else. If you're interested in learning more about our President's Club, Legacy Circle, or how to become a constant companion, I can answer any of those questions. But each and every day, I know the staff at AHS, sees these animals with nowhere else to turn coming through our door. And it is so special knowing that our attendees today, your support is what makes that work possible, and we couldn't do it without you. We are so grateful for your commitment to our mission, and we will continue to be here for those pets as we navigate through these next months that will bring unforeseen challenges, and we're honored to be here. And thanks to you, we can do that. So Dr. Hansen, thank you so much for your time today. To everyone, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. I hope that you enjoy what is soon to come cooler temperatures. I'm very excited about that. Maybe just a little football. But everyone, have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.